Our next speaker, Deepika Sandeep, is a seasoned leader in the field of analytics, machine learning, and natural language processing. Currently, she's an AI leader at Honeywell, driving AI for smart buildings with focus on sustainability, automation, and optimization of operations. She has led AI programs in several organizations across domains, spanning Industry 4.0, renewable energy, automotive manufacturing, real estate, and healthcare. She was featured in Analytics India magazine's 40 Under 40 Data Scientists and Women in AI Leadership lists. She's also a recognized leader in the renewable energy sector, ranked in 40 Under 40 Most Promising Leaders in Indian solar industry, and is among Asia's most influential women in renewable energy. Deepika, the stage is yours.
Hello, everyone. The topic of my talk today is AI in the new normal, relevance and relook. So it is very clear now that digitalization and automation are going to be the key drivers of the post-pandemic world. The question that we are now asking is, what role does AI have to play in all this? So how will AI become more relevant in the post-pandemic world? So I will touch upon this by quoting a few examples from various industry verticals like healthcare, education, manufacturing, retail, and hospitality. So to start with, AI in telehealth. So telemonitoring is the essence of telehealth. So with the advent of IoT, a lot of sensors and wearables are becoming very popular today. So these collect data on the vital parameters of the human body. And this data is then transmitted to a central repository where it is stored and analyzed on a real-time basis. And intimation on any abnormality in the human body is sent to the end user remotely. So this also means wider reach of healthcare, which is especially useful in regions where access to healthcare facilities is still a challenge. Computer vision and image processing have been used extensively for medical image analysis for quite a few decades now. So this is only set to increase in the post-pandemic world because remoteness is going to be key. So this is useful for early detection of conditions and diseases like detection of certain tumors, cancers, diabetic retinopathy, and so on. Healthcare data still is being recorded and preserved in non-digitized formats in various regions. But this is set to change going forward because recording healthcare data in electronic formats is going to be critical for analysis, especially remotely. And in the post-pandemic world, AI-based EHR or electronic health record systems for evidence-based care will be more widely adopted. Virtual assistants or chatbots are being extensively used even in the healthcare sector for performing various tasks like preliminary health assessment, sending out reminders for routine health checks, and so on. AI for education. So with the explosion of the online mode of education, it is all the more necessary now for us to detect fake or undesirable content. And AI becomes necessary for automatically classifying appropriate versus inappropriate content, especially for children. Yet another example of AI in education is Google's Bolo app. So this app is designed to aid primary education. So it has a virtual tutor which narrates stories to children, even in the absence of a physical person being there. And it explains concepts to children using a storytelling approach so that it's easy for children to grasp. So this is built using text-to-speech recognition technology and is especially useful in a rural setting where primary education is still a luxury. AI in manufacturing. So digital twins, which are replicas of physical systems, are going to be more widely adopted going forward, both in the design and the operations phase for remote informed decision making and control. Safety on the shop floor in factories is paramount. So checks are being done today on the compliance with pandemic specific guidelines. Are people complying with social distancing norms or not? Are people wearing masks or not? Are people on the shop floor wearing safety helmets or not? And all these checks today are being automated through surveillance using video cameras and video analytics on the footage that is captured. Also going forward, remote diagnostics, real-time monitoring for predictive maintenance will become critical, because we want to avoid as much truck rolls as possible. We want to avoid physical visits by service technicians to the site as much as possible. We want to do as much as possible remotely. So in that kind of a scenario, timely recommendation for corrective action will be imperative. AI in retail. Brick and mortar retail stores are going to see increased surveillance in future. This is not only to check if people are adhering to the social distancing norms or not, but also to find out which zones or which regions in the retail stores are having more footfall in order to design better sales and marketing strategies and so on. Touchless or frictionless shopping will be the norm in the new world. So for instance, business models like that of Amazon Go, which is more of a grab and go kind of a model, where there is no need for people to stand in lines, no need for checkouts, which has minimal contact with other people. So these kind of models will become more popular in the post-pandemic world. A lot of e-tailers are also providing personalized experience for each shopper and virtual try-on options. So the advantage that the e-tailers are having with such options in place is that they are able to use facial emotion and gesture recognition for detecting the sentiment of each shopper who comes online, and are able to customize the product recommendation for each shopper accordingly. AI in tourism, leisure, and hospitality industry. So today, visiting various places of interest is a constraint. So immersive technologies like virtual reality, mixed reality are coming in handy for delivering experiences of visiting various places of interest like museums. So even if we are not able to actually physically visit, say, a museum, we will not be losing out on that experience. And this is being made possible by immersive technologies today. AI is also being increasingly used for delivering enhanced customer experience. Travel bots have taken up the role of travel agents to plan itineraries and tailor travel experiences. Customer service bots have taken up the role of customer service representatives for providing assistance to customers online. AI for human resource management. So AI is coming in handy for automating the recruitment process. So say there are n number of candidate resumes and n number of job descriptions. How do we find automatically the match between candidate profiles and various opportunities? So natural language processing is very useful in this context. Bots are being used for the initial screening process in recruitment. A lot of interviews are being conducted online today. So video interview assessment using natural language understanding and emotion AI are becoming increasingly popular. So now that AI will be entering mainstream, should we relook at mainstream AI implementation? Is a critical question for us to answer. So there are a lot of discussions and debates around the ethical use of AI today. So it's very similar to the classic trolley problem in philosophy. So there are concerns right from the data collection phase. A lot of sensitive data about race, ethnicity, religion, gender are being collected today, and people are not really comfortable having such data available publicly. Bias data for learning is another concern. If machine learning models are trained on biased data, they learn this bias, and this inherent bias gets manifested in the inferencing phase or the prediction phase as well. So for example, a machine learning model may refer to a doctor as a he and a nurse as a she, although it is not absolutely necessary for a doctor to be a male and a nurse to be a female. There is a lot of unrest around facial recognition technology today. So facial recognition has been known to fail in a few scenarios where the color of the skin is quite different from the color of the skin in the images that the model was trained on. And this is a serious concern. So because of which quite a few organizations today have taken the decision of not using facial recognition for any application. Yet another concern is on explainability. So if a deep learning model fails in certain circumstances, it is not straightforward to figure out why it has failed. So given the complex nature, structure, and functioning of deep neural networks, it is not easy for us to understand the functioning of the deep learning models. So this is a concern because as human beings, we are not very comfortable using black box systems. Autonomous vehicles. So we are all aware of that specific incident of a driverless car owned by Uber, which ran over a pedestrian, resulting in the pedestrian's death. So this happened because the driverless car failed to detect the presence of the pedestrian in front and did not stop at the right time, which resulted in the fatal accident. So because of all these incidents and reasons, there are a lot of concerns around is it ethical to use AI in certain applications. So the way forward for this would be to have better regulations and guidelines in place and deal with each application on a case-by-case basis rather than have a complete blanket ban on the usage of AI for certain applications. AI is not a one-man army. So the success of an AI solution is dependent on a multitude of factors. Domain expertise, for instance. So an AI solution is ultimately expected to mimic the thought process of a domain expert. How the domain expert would approach the problem, how the domain expert would do the root cause analysis of the issue, and how the domain expert would eventually figure out the solution. So the same way AI solution is expected to work. So understanding and having domain expertise is a key contributor to an AI solution's success. Quality data. So without good quality data, no AI solution will be effective. Robust infrastructure. So right from the data collection phase, connectivity infrastructure for data transmission, storage and computing capability on the cloud for training the model and its deployment. So all these are very critical for the AI solution's success. And of course, business acumen. So the insights from an AI solution should finally translate into business value, right? So be it increase in operational efficiency, be it reduction in cost by bringing down the manual effort, or be it increase in the revenue generation. So keeping that in mind on what the business value is going to be from the AI solution is critical for the success of the AI solution. The AI conundrum, how much is too much? So let's consider the carbon impact of AI. So studies have shown that training a single complex large AI model can emit as much carbon as 5 cars in their lifetime. So given this fact, it is essential to ask the question, is machine learning or deep learning essential for solving every problem in hand? The answer is a no. Just about 10% of industry's problems are being solved using deep learning today. A lot of problems can be solved using simple statistical techniques, data wrangling, data mining, exploratory data analysis, or EDA, as we call it. So a lot of these techniques like data distribution study, outlier detection, trend analysis, correlation and causation, all these techniques come in very handy for solving quite a few problems. And these are not very computationally intensive as well. So if there is a simpler method to solve the problem, that's the route we should be taking. So yet another important aspect of AI is data visualization and business intelligence. So it is a known fact that the human mind is constantly seeking stories. So storytelling approach to convey the insights from data is very effective. So connecting the dots and creating a compelling storyline by connecting various data points from disparate sources is a very effective way of conveying the insights from data in a very comprehensible manner. Also, keeping the human at the center is essential. The objective of AI is not to eliminate the human in the loop, but only to make the lives of human beings simpler by bringing about automation. So going forward, a hybrid decision-making process will be widely adopted, which will be a combination of human intelligence and artificial intelligence. So to summarize, artificial intelligence and human intelligence go hand in hand and will go hand in hand in future as well. Yeah, so that brings me to the end of my talk. Thank you for your patient listening.